In Shelby's precious Hallmark movies, it's always snowy at Christmas, and the woman becomes a softer, superior version of herself as she falls in love with the man. The movies are benzos for the soul. They relax Shelby. They make her laugh. It's safe in Hallmark land. Snow never gives way to slush, and Shelby lives vicariously through her favorite Hallmark queen, Candace Cameron Bure. In Christmas Under Wraps, maybe the best one out there, Candace plays a physician marooned in small-town Alaska. She's lovable and loving, with shiny hair, a head full of nice thoughts, and eyes like a doe. She deserves all the good things guaranteed to be hers by the last scene, the things she didn't even know she wanted. But again, it's always the same. The credits roll too fast, smothered by commercials, and Shelby gets whiplash. She isn't anything like Candace Cameron Bure, and she's not fielding job offers in Alaska. Shelby's not a doctor. She's already married, she has a son, and she shouldn't fantasize about meeting a plaid hunk with veneers and biceps. Hallmark is a lie. Hot cocoa can't change your life, and nobody engages in private physical acts in these hyper-clean TV hamlets. Last night, Rigid thought Shelby was sleeping. She was simply awake. Nobody gets diarrhea. Shelby has to stop drinking so much hot chocolate. And oh sure, Candace and her milquetoast man kissed under the mistletoe, but wait until Candace gets pregnant. Wait until she gets fired in her first trimester, and try to make a movie about that, Hallmark. Another one begins, and Shelby turns up the volume, willing the corny music to seep into her bloodstream and transform her into the plucky leading lady with smaller pores, a brighter smile, a wide-open heart. See, Shelby got fired because of Hallmark movies. Well, sort of. She never fit in at City Woman, and she knew it. But as a 41-year-old journalist who never wrote that thing that validated her decision to keep her maiden name, there were limits to what she could expect from a job. She had to leave her house in suburb Virginia by 8 to get to the semi-city Maryland office on time. And in the car, she'd laugh at her life, rushing to get from a home that didn't feel like home. She'd never pictured herself living in a development so close to Best Buy, to a job that didn't feel right. She couldn't keep a straight face at work, and her boss, Annette, would never hesitate to call her out. "What's so funny, Shelby?" "Nothing." "But you're smirking, yes?" She was smirking because she couldn't take it seriously, and she couldn't blame them for not taking her seriously. Annette didn't like her. But as Rigid said, you don't like Annette. She'd go into the office and pitch ideas, Annette would shoot her down, and Shelby would simmer. But 2 days later, she'd revisit her writing and cringe. Did she really pitch that? She devised a plan. Write a modern love essay for the New York Times. Blow up. Move on. But after 2 years at City Woman, Shelby had 38 pages of false starts. Nothing clicked. And if she couldn't tell the story of her relationship with Rigid, then what did that say about her? About them? Things were better when she finally got pregnant. Surely she'd crack modern love, because the pregnancy was a surprise, a blessing. She was falling for Rigid all over again, remembering how satisfying it was to please him, to give him what he wanted. He hadn't been this happy since they'd adopted their dog, Scrumptious. He was working harder than ever, and she was taking it easy on the weekends, rediscovering those dopey, addictive movies. The stories felt different now, as if the pregnancy had activated the shiny, perky woman inside her. She wasn't cynical anymore. She was a Hallmark woman, womanly. And because she didn't like boundaries, because she still couldn't crack modern love, she marched into City Woman determined to convince Annette and the others that she should write about Hallmark movies. You know, those corny fairy tales we all secretly love to binge. Annette was puzzled. "Shelby, I don't get it. You're being ironic, yes?" Annette didn't know Shelby was pregnant. Shelby and Rigid had agreed it was better to wait. Shelby was emotional, intense. "No, Annette, I'm not being ironic. I've been realizing that I genuinely love Hallmark movies. I want to write about them." "You mean as a hate watch, yes?" Shelby, they're anti-single women, they're anti-gay women, they're anti-all women who aren't cookie cutters willing to give up their big city careers for love with some dullard. There was laughter in the room, and Shelby was tense. She was not a tradwife. She wasn't a small-minded enemy of all things good in this world, and she hadn't anticipated a political debate. "Annette," she said, "I agree with you on all counts, but this is more about the isolated, enduring appeal in spite of those issues." Annette shrugged. "I wouldn't know," she said. "I've never actually watched one. I mean, they're banal and sexist, yes?" Annette was always doing that, ending her sentences with the word yes, passive-aggressively commanding you to agree with her. "But that's you," Shelby said. "Many women are still watching." She looked around the room, searching for an ally, but none of the women were going to admit to indulging in a little banal and sexist Hallmark every now and then. So Shelby just plowed ahead, like a pioneer in one of her beloved Laura Ingalls Wilder books, babbling about the movies, the career women and their inadequate Bluetooth boyfriends, and the narrative convenience of being dumped or transferred to a remote location right before Christmas. She hadn't practiced at home, and she was all over the place, conscious of how often she said the word Candace, as if Candace Cameron Bure were her friend. She used the word narrative too much, off on a tangent about the message that breakups and career hiccups always lead to falling in love. "If you think about it," she said, "we're drawn to these sanitized career women because, unlike us, they're all actually very passive, and therein lies the guilty pleasure. We all secretly wish we could be that way, right? Never mind the hunky man, the happy ending. It's about the fantasy that the world tells you what to do, and you do it." She was losing them. She would not lose. Think about Christmas under wraps. Candace doesn't decide to move to Alaska. She has no choice. And look how well it works out for her. This was a bombshell, but Annette and the others were mute, blank. Shelby knew there'd be a group text later that night. How crazy was Shelby today? But she tried to recover. "Look," she pressed, using her hands now. "Hallmark taps into the unsayable thing that we all feel. Drum roll. Eye contact. We all want to run away. Candace shows up in Alaska and she's pouting in stilettos. She's a ball of cookie dough, and the quirky small town is a rolling pin, and the boring guy is another rolling pin, you know." They didn't know, but she so rarely had the floor, and she couldn't stop now. He teases her, and she conforms to his way of life. Going with this cookie dough metaphor, the remarkably unremarkable man puts her in the oven, you know? No, they didn't know. He kisses her, and the kiss is magic, and now she's a cookie, you know? Again, no. The bottom line is that getting forced out of her comfort zone was the best thing that ever happened to her. And what a relief, right? It's okay to fantasize that your life blows up, that the universe knows better than you, that Santa Claus exists and actually cares about you, finding the right man. Shelby was laid off 2 days later. 3 days after that, she was carrying groceries in from the car. Still livid, did she really bring Santa Claus into it? And increasingly paranoid that her negative thoughts and adrenaline would hurt the baby growing inside her. She put a bag on the counter and opened an email from Annette. "So, you printed some stuff before you left."
"I think it's an essay? You want us to send it to you, yes?" Shelby's heart stopped, and she dropped her phone. And very Annette, and very Shelby for being so angry at being fired, don't call it laid off, that she forgot to pick up her pages. Now all the city woman women would get to critique her doughy, unformed thoughts. They'd call her slovenly and self-obsessed. She shouldn't care what they think. She was pregnant, and maybe the universe had been looking out for her, trying to send her home. Maybe those city witches actually did know about the pregnancy and had wanted her gone. But she did care, and now something else was wrong. The house was cold, quiet. Her eyes darted to the kitchen door. It was wide open, and she knew before she knew. Scrumptious got out. She ran outside and she ran down the street and she called his names. She was already crying. And there was a UPS truck down the hill. The driver was hunched over scrumptious. He came out of nowhere. I can't believe this. I can't believe what I did. Shelby put a hand on the driver's shoulder. No, she said, I did this. I left the door open. It's all my fault. He did the kind thing and let her cry and told her that it wasn't her fault, and he said that these things happen, as if doors open themselves. It's been over a year since they lost Scrumptious, and Shelby is still atoning, still feeling like she's on probation in her own home, in her life. Her mother insisted on moving in after the dog died, and Rajid thought it was a great idea. Shelby did give birth to Henry, the baby they call the Baba, but they don't trust Shelby, not yet, and Mommy isn't here to help. She's here to protect Henry from his own mother. With Rajid busy at work and Mommy in charge of the Baba, it's not like I'm going to be alive forever. Let me have my fun. Shelby is free to play busy. She's tried to get freelance work, but nobody's biting. So on she goes, hiding in her office, emailing old contacts, asking about full-time jobs that no longer exist, binging on Hallmark movies as she peruses her half-baked essays, her kind but firm rejection notices. She's been telling gullible Rajid that her freelance career is taking off. And he believes her. See, Baba, I knew everything would work out. And then another day comes. Another editor tells her, thank you, but no thank you. Mommy isn't supportive of Shelby's free writings. She won't utter the word freelance. But she's relieved that Shelby's not fixated on City Woman anymore. They're all in the house right now. Rajid is in the kitchen, and Mommy is upstairs, singing to baby Henry. Do they secretly know that Shelby is a liar? Do they know that she hasn't gotten the green light on a pitch since she was ousted from City Woman? And did they realize that she thinks about those city witches every day, replaying the bad pitch in her mind as she remembers their hostile, nude palette faces? Rajid will have to know at the end of the year when it's time to deal with taxes. But she'll lie and tell him that she's chasing money, and he'll remember that phrase from when they were young, and he'll believe her. He always believes her. He and Mommy believed her yesterday when she said she was tired from researching preschools, and that was a lie. She'd fallen into a rabbit hole via Annette's Instagram, zooming in on her working vacation photos with her boyfriend in the Maldives, reading all the comments, all the praise, and no, that wasn't research. It was anger mismanagement, like eating a whole cake in the middle of the night. Shelby turns up the volume on a Hallmark movie and her phone buzzes. Rajid, how's it going, Baba? Shelby responds, great, just need 5 more minutes for the Times editor, Baba. You know he didn't have to give me an extension, so now it's my turn to be timely. Rajid gives her a thumbs up. And will Shelby go to hell for lying to her husband? Will he go to hell for failing to see through the lie? Shelby has 5 minutes, and she opens her modern love mess and finds her thoughts on Baba, their term of endearment. It's better than she remembered. She waxes poetic about family language, how the word grew and became their version of baby. But scroll down, and she's ranting about Mommy and Rajid. They say the Baba is special, but we go to the park, and you know what? All the babies are the same. They don't talk. Shelby winces. She deletes. She likes conversation. She does. You can't discuss things with a baby. And is she a monster for missing those days with the city wenches? She's too impatient to be a mother, and she should have known it before she got pregnant. Now it's too late, and her 5 minutes are up, but she can't give up. Not yet. She opens another Modern Love rough draft about her engagement. Maybe this one is better, softer. She and Rajid have been together since sophomore year of college. Shelby was hell-bent on finding someone early, so she didn't waste time dating. And soon they were living together in a tiny studio in Alphabet City. They were cool, or maybe just young, 6 months out of college. Rajat wanted to be a stand-up comic, so he was a telemarketer by day and a shy, sober, earnest fledgling comedian by night, revising his jokes in his little notepad. Hopeful. Shelby was at Jane magazine, and she was thriving, feeling all the excitement of her future without any of the pressure to make it start now. She was writing small pieces, but the big one would come when the time was right. One night, Rajat came home with a bag from Barnes & Noble. He set the book on the one table they had in their tiny apartment. "What's this?" Shelby said. "It's a gift," he said. "Open it." Shelby smiled. Sweet boyfriend. Always bringing her magazines and books. Always knowing what she wanted. She pulled the book out of the bag and felt the blood rush to her cheeks. "Oh," she said, her eyes latching on to the word Kaplan. "Oh." Rajat put his hands on her shoulders and kissed her neck. "Oh," he said. "Yes." Shelby's mind was racing. The LSATs were a private running joke. They'd get fed up with being poor and agree that they needed more than one table. They'd go back and forth. "You go to law school and be the grown-up." "No, you go." But it was only a joke, and now Rajat was sending her to law school, and his hands were clamped on her shoulders. Every joke is based in reality, and she'd always expected that he'd go grow up because she was actually in her career. She loved her job. She loved the feel of his hands on her body. She wanted a future with this man, and he wanted her to go to law school. And could she get on board with that plan? He was breathing on her, waiting for her. She pictured herself in a classroom. She liked the idea of an irrefutable license that validated her intelligence and her abilities. He squeezed her shoulders, and his hands liberated that little voice in her head. "Do you really love your job, Shelby? Do you really want to be in a field where your success depends on your ability to get along with editors? Didn't you want to go to law school in high school before Rajat?" She could see a new kind of future, and it felt good. It felt right. She didn't have to be Carrie Bradshaw. She could be Miranda, the one in the suit. Yes, what Rajat wanted was what she wanted, and she felt relieved at the idea of an office where no one would be sizing up her pants every day. Rajat took his hands away and burst out laughing. "Oh no," he said. "Shelby, Shelby, Shelby. No, no, no." He did that a lot. He said her name 3 times, like her name was a magic word, which it was. And then he turned her body around and dropped to one knee. "Shelby," he said, "will you marry a tax attorney?" He had a ring, and she said yes. She didn't tell him that she'd just been fantasizing about law school. There was no point. She was always changing her mind, imagining all the roads not taken. She was spongy, and sponges can't make big life decisions. They had a little warm champagne to celebrate the engagement, and Rajat boxed up his notepads full of jokes. The end. And it really was.
Rajat doesn't harbor resentment. He never shouts about his sacrifice. Shelby reads the last line of her engagement essay. How do you figure out what you want if the person you love knows what he wants? I'm in my 40s, playing What If I Went to Law School, but Rajat hasn't opened his comedy notebooks since the night we got engaged. It's not a modern love story. She's just whining, as if hindsight isn't 20/20 for everyone. An active imagination is an asset at work, but it's a liability in love, and she has no regrets. She was a writer. She is a writer. Rajat knew who he was, what he wanted. That's not his fault, and her 5 minutes were up 10 minutes ago. She closes her laptop and looks in the mirror. She isn't smirking anymore. She leaves her office and walks into the kitchen, and Rajat is wearing a suit. It's a necessity, he goes to an office, but it feels like he's taunting her with his cologne. He sneezes, and she asks God to bless him, and he reaches for Kleenex. He's been fighting a cold for weeks. His sinuses clear up for a day, and he goes to the office, and boom, sick again. He rubs his forehead. "You win, Baba. I can't breathe, and I can't take it anymore. Can I try your neti pot?" Shelby looks around the kitchen.
She doesn't want to share her neti pot. She doesn't want the neck inside his nostrils. Is she really going to be clingy about a neti pot, as if she needs it to be hers so that she can be more than a part of the baba? It's too big of a question. "Where's Mommy?" she asks. "Is Henry up yet?" Rajid laughs. "You never change, my possessive little baba. And he's so very happy lately, which is why he's open-minded, finally willing to experiment with a neti pot. For 20 years, Shelby pushed him to try it every time he had a cold. He always refused, and that is who they are, who they were. He's stubborn, she's possessive. But now his world expands as hers shrinks, and if she allows it, he will discover the wonders of her neti pot while she treads water, running errands, overthinking modern love. But then he squeezes her shoulders, and she is not allowed to resent him. "Sorry," she says, "but I think I threw it out when we moved." Rajid knows she's lying. The first time they were intimate, he had noticed the neti pot on her nightstand. She'd told him she loved it in that florid, melodramatic way that you do when you're falling in love, when every moment is an opportunity to show him the quirky depth of your soul. She would never throw it out, and this is the worst part of marriage, being seen for the petty person that you've always been. He knows the old Shelby, but he has a blind spot when it comes to the present. She feels far away from him, as if the oars are slipping off the boat. She's not grabbing them before they sink into the water. But why isn't he in the boat? When did he jump off? He hugs her. "Baba," he says, "don't worry about the peace. You're a rock star, and everyone's gonna see what you can do. This is your time. I know it, Baba." "Love you too," she says. But he didn't say he loved her, and she didn't call him Baba, and she's doing it wrong, all of it. It isn't fair to lie to your husband, and she has to tell him the truth, and she blurts, "Rajid, wait." He sneezes. He really is sick, and this isn't the time to tell him. And who knows, maybe today she will finish modern love. And here comes Mommy, all smiles, holding the Baba, orchestrating his hands and talking on his behalf. "Hello, Mommy. Hello, Daddy." It's still shocking to see Mommy in this house, little Catholic homemaker Mommy, asking Shelby if she read the manual for the new crock pot yet. Shelby smiles. "Nope, but I will after I make my deadline." And she reaches for the Baba. It feels good to hold him. He is perfect. He is hers. Rajid and Mommy like it when she coos at him, and she breathes him in and laughs. "Okay," she says, "I know I've said it 1,000,000 times, but I swear, he smells exactly like my Cabbage Patch Kid." She shouldn't have said it. Even if it's true, it is. She knows that Rajid and Mommy don't like it when she jokes about her Cabbage Patch Kid. Rajid is the baby's father, and their baby is alive. The last small living creature that was in this home is dead because of Shelby, and maybe that's what she should write about. But nobody wants to hear about an innocent black lab that died because of a selfish woman. Mommy can always tell when Shelby is drifting, and she reaches for Henry. "Give him to me," she says, as she rescues the Baba and puts him in his chair. Now Shelby can't smell him, she can only see him. And he really does take after Rajid. He was happy in her arms, and now he's just as happy in his chair. He's not fussy. It's easy to picture him casually quitting comedy to go to law school and never losing sleep over it. After Shelby left City Woman, she pitched The Cut an essay about the sense that her son didn't feel quite like hers, that he was a doll, that he was all Henry. But the editor didn't like the idea. A little narcissistic, yes? Which was fine, because what would Henry think if he grew up and read that article? All Shelby's ideas about motherhood accidentally reveal faulty wiring in the female part of her brain. What she needs to do is find something insightful and viral to say about Hallmark movies. And Mommy touches Rajid's elbow. "Do you want me to make you some eggs, dear?" That was a dig at Shelby. She's not cooking, and she was never much of a chef. If Mommy hadn't moved in, she would have learned, but Mommy did move in. Rajid shakes his head. "Thanks," he says, "but I have no appetite, no taste buds." Mommy glares at Shelby. Rajid's cold is Shelby's fault, like everything that is amiss in this kitchen, in their life. "Rajid," Mommy coos, "you work too hard." Oh, please. Rajid doesn't work too hard. He works. People catch colds, and it isn't because Shelby is a bad wife, and it isn't 1957, and Rajid says he'll be fine as soon as Shelby locates the quote-unquote can't find. Mommy is cracking eggs, and Rajid is teasing Shelby. "Only you can get possessive about a cracked old neti pot, Baba." The kitchen smells like Mommy's eggs, and the Baba pounds his little Baba hands on his tray table, and Shelby picks up her son. He's fussy, so he is part hers, and he wants his chair again, so she puts him down. Mommy fastens the belt on the high chair, the belt that Shelby didn't fasten, but side note, the Baba doesn't need the very belt. And look at Rajid by the fridge, no dog in this fight. Shelby's shoulders drop, and she is the Incredible Hulk in reverse, shrinking. "Look," she says, "I'm sorry, you guys. I'm underwater with deadlines, and I know I'm not pulling my weight around here. I know I should be happy I'm in demand, but I might need to remind these editors that I'm a new mom." It feels good to declare her own intellectual desirability, as if she's ordering them to see her as a good writer. But Rajid just nods, and Mommy rolls her eyes and folds a bib. "You catch more flies with honey, Shelby. Mommy never worked, and she's dead wrong. You don't get anywhere with sweet talk. Would you please believe in me? Thank you so much." And Shelby's blood runs hot. Can the Baba feel the fire? Is he soaking up her rage? Mommy preaches that Shelby's writing is more trouble than it's worth, and Rajid plays peekaboo with the Baba, and Mommy won't quit. "Shelby, you don't need the money. Take some time to focus on taking care of your home." Mommy picks up a bottle of Dawn. She squeezes. "Maybe you can even do something about the old dog closet." There's a beat of mourning, all eyes on the dog closet. Rajid sneezes. Was that even real? And why don't they do the right thing and remove all traces of Scrumptious from that closet? Shelby's phone buzzes, and Mommy sighs. Tell those people to back off. But it isn't a work text. Shelby doesn't get those anymore. This is a weird text from a 555 number, and everyone knows 555 is fake, so maybe Shelby is losing her mind. She blinks. Nope.
There it is, 555, just like in a Hallmark movie. And maybe the world has turned the last corner, and all things fake are real. She reads the message. "Hey there, Shelby. Can we talk? I think I can help." Shelby blushes. What is this? Who is this? Rajid whistles at her. "Baba, someone's waving at you." Shelby didn't feel her son's eyes on her, but she goes into full-throttle mommy mode, playing peekaboo. Where is the Baba? And Mommy slams a spatula on the counter. "Enough," she says. "You both need to stop it with this Baba talk. His name is Henry, not Baba, and he needs to learn his words, names." Shelby sighs. "Mommy, please. And no more talk about this neti pot, kids. Those are dangerous, you know. People catch parasites, all kinds of things. They're germ carriers. I saw a whole thing about it on Dateline." Mommy is the one who needs to mellow out with Hallmark movies, and Shelby is calm, but also patronizing. "Mommy, I've been using one since I was in college. Perfectly healthy people use them every day." Rajid could jump in here. He's the one who wants the neti pot. But he just tickles the Baba, and Mommy asks Shelby not to be so mean to her, as if Shelby is mean. And when Shelby leaves the room, Rajid calls the baby Henry, and Mommy won? And are the three of them better off without her? Why does Shelby so often hate all the people she loves? And why do her mother's eggs taste better than hers? And why can't she stop watching those very Hallmark movies? Downstairs, in the guest bathroom hallway, where she told Rigid she went to find the neti pot, Shelby is officially in a funk. She grabs her phone. She takes it out on 555. "Delete my number, or I will report you to the Better Business Bureau. I am a journalist. I can destroy you." It's so satisfying to hit send. And then her phone buzzes. 555. There it is. That fire in you. I felt it the first time I laid eyes on you. I know you worry, Shelby. You care. You're trying to do it all, be it all. But sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to walk away from it for a little while. Maybe I could convince you to take a walk with me. Well, she has to be imagining this, and she's officially crazy. She's always had an overactive imagination, and lately she's been living more in her head than in the world. And this is what happens when you hold it all in. Your imagination overtakes the rational part of your brain. She pockets her phone and grabs the neti pot from the shelf in the linen closet. She's overthinking everything. Until recently, she's always believed that Rigid gave up his dreams for their security. But lately, his decision seems stealthier, and she's starting to resent him for that sacrifice. It's true. She thought she really might want to go to law school when she held on to that LSAT book. But looking back, she feels like she had no room to explore the possibility, because his mind was made up about what he wanted. Maybe he didn't mean to trap her, to kill her dream, but sometimes she feels he did. This is why she can't finish her modern love piece, because now, when she looks back at that critical moment in their lives, she wishes he'd said something like, "Well, maybe we should both go to law school." But she really might be going crazy, because who is she kidding? She liked seeing her name in the magazine. She wasn't going to leave that world behind. Bylines were addictive, and they were real, like Hallmark movies. She hears them upstairs. The Baba did something funny, and they're laughing. They're just fine without her, and her phone buzzes. "Okay, Shelby, easier question. How are you today?" She's just down enough to write back. Perfect. Never better. He gives her an LOL, and just like that, he has a pronoun. He is a he, a man, a handsome man. She should go upstairs and rejoin the Baba. She thinks about that word, how it grew into something bigger, their own term of romantic affection. "Baba, I'm so tired. Can you turn off the TV?" And it became their version of love, the three of them enmeshed in a soft place together. Baba, Baba, Baba. But when her phone buzzes, and it's 555, she forgets about the Baba. "So, I realize this is out of nowhere. I saw you online. Permission to gush about your resplendent beauty and ask if you'd consider running away with me." Shelby exhales. She types, "Tell me who you are. I'm someone who likes you, someone who wants you to take a leap of faith and hold my hand and jump into the water because you want to, because it feels right. But you know who I am. Tell me who you are. I'm someone who wants to know everything about you. What makes you happy?" Shelby gulps. What if this is a prank? She ran into a city witch at a yoga class last month. It was awkward, polite. Shelby never went back to the class, and the city witch probably went into the office the next day and told them all about bumping into Shelby. Maybe that got them started. Maybe this was a practical joke, and they were all huddled in the conference room, peeing their leggings over poor, pathetic Shelby. Shelby doesn't want to have an affair. She would be happy taking care of the Baba if she finished an essay. Instead of texting with a man who doesn't exist, she should be writing about the man she lives with, the man she loves. The Baba isn't a wild animal scratching at the door, stopping her from writing. The wild animal is 555, waiting in silence. Rigid shouts down the stairs, "Did you find it?" Shelby screams back, "Not yet. The neti pot is right here, in her hands." She got this neti pot when she was at that age when you didn't go online to solve your problems. You had a cold, so you went to the drugstore and you were a zombie. And then some old woman with a walker ordered you to buy a neti pot. and you listened to her because of her swollen knuckles, her authority. Then you used the neti pot, and it worked. Old people, what a miracle! Then you were healthy, breathing easily, so you had your best friend come over, and the two of you got drunk on peach snaps and stayed up all night discussing the absurdity of American education, the way you had to sign up for a women's studies class to learn about women. And you were a genius. Your thoughts mattered to this world, and there was no need to share them beyond this room. No platform on which to dump them. No chance of being ignored. There was nothing but the mild hangover and the confidence of having discovered the truth and lost it, sure that you would find it all again tomorrow night. What makes Shelby happy? The answer should be the Baba, but the question pushes her deeper into her past. Late nights when you could find the meaning of life with a friend from Psych 101 while Dave Matthews just kept singing on the CD player. And a few hours later, you couldn't remember the meaning of life anymore. And wasn't that the best part of every night? You forgot so much of it. You had no photograph of that night, of any night. There are so few pictures of you and your friends loafing. There was no pressure to take a picture, and who would interrupt all that good talk with a camera? She misses that way of life so much she could scream. And now, Rigid is texting, again from inside the house. Got neti pot, Baba? I gotta go to work soon. She is a bad wife, a terrible partner, and Rigid deserves better. Last night he offered to stop by the grocery store on the way home. She didn't have it in her to thank him, to ask him for celery and potato chips. She didn't feel like telling him he's the best. She was tongue-tied with frustration, so she deflected with a picture of the Baba and an all good. We just need you. He came home with celery and her favorite potato chips, because he is the best. But his love made her feel worse. She ate the whole really bag of chips, and now she marches upstairs with her neti pot, and Rigid offers the Baba. Trade? Mommy laughs, and Shelby remembers a couple of nights at comedy clubs when Rigid was relaxed, in a groove. He should have tried harder. She thought she was supporting him by letting him quit, but sometimes she sees a glimpse of this other life. Rajid sticks with stand-up. He makes it. Shelby goes to law school. She saves the world, and years later, right now, she writes a legal thriller, and now they're both creative. Shelby smiles. Trade. She exchanges her neti pot for the Baba and Mommy hovers, as if Shelby can't hold her own son. And Mommy says Henry should be napping, and Shelby's phone buzzes. It's just a friend this time. Playdate this weekend. And she can't think about playdates right now. She opens that other text, the one from 555. Give him to me, Mommy says. So Shelby does it. She gives him to her mother. And then she writes back to 555. Well, this makes me happy, oddly. 555 asks questions about her life, and she's typing a mile a minute and telling him about college, about her neti pot. The carefree Dave Matthews part of her soul is alive again, and she looks at the Baba, happy in Mommy's embrace. He has no idea what Shelby's up to on her phone. Mommy and Rajid are also oblivious. Her husband is not a monster, though he is touching her neti pot, and Mommy is not a monster, though she is hogging Henry. But is it so bad to want to be happy? Mommy's happy. She's changing Henry's diapers. She wants to do it, and Rajid is happy to have the neti pot. She writes back to 555. Why me? He is quick. It's cheesy, but the heart wants what the heart wants. His tone is familiar. You still didn't tell me who you are. He deflects. Question. Have you ever been apple picking? The first time I saw you, I thought, I want to go apple picking with her. I know I sound crazy. Feel free to ignore me. I know you have a life. I just had to try. She remembers this moment with Rajid, when the attraction became magnetic and tidal. Rajid blows her a kiss. Have a good one, Baba. And Shelby blushes. Love you. All day she and Mommy run errands, and Shelby searches for 555 in the grocery store, in the menswear section of TJ Maxx. She's searching now as she waits in line at the drugstore. She's staring at the pharmacist. Could it be him? He's always nervous.
packed into his sad plaid shirts as if he's apologizing for existing. He is Ironed Man, and what's left of his hair is brushed forward, semi-Caesar, kind of pervy. And would he use the store's phone system to rig a 555 number? Maybe. She smiles at him, holding his eyes longer than normal. "Hello, Jeff." She's never thought about Jeff, but they do always make eye contact, and they do use their first names, and she's overheard him with other women her age. It's different, quieter, and quicker. Mommy elbows her, disgusted by Shelby's flirtatious tone. "Shelby, get your card out." "I don't need to, Mommy. I can just give him my phone number." Jeff nods. "Ready?" And Shelby is relieved that Mommy is holding the baba. She feels free and important, like a performer or a school teacher, or maybe both at the same time in some alternate universe where you can perform and also finger paint with children. And Shelby leans over the counter. Her voice is husky. She is slow with her digits. As if Jeff doesn't know, it's him, it has to be him, and Jeff is playing along, typing the numbers one by one as if he doesn't know them by heart. Shelby wants him to jump over the counter and whisk her into his truck. He must have a truck. And she sees them returning to a B&B, not an Airbnb, and he runs a bath for her because her back is sore from their passionate encounter, a scene you don't ever see in the movies. "Huh," Jeff says, "you're not in the system." The world is cold and common. A woman sighs aggressively behind them. "Hurry up, idiots." And Mommy reaches into Shelby's wallet, no boundaries, and slaps the card on the counter. "I don't trust the computers," she says. "Try this." Jeff swipes the card as if he's not in love with Shelby, as if he feels bad about the impatient pill in line, as if we all don't go to the pharmacy expecting to wait. "Huh," he says. And Shelby could never love him or hate him. He says "huh" too much. He's stupid. Shelby asks what's wrong, and he scratches his head. "This is weird," he says. "You're not in the system." "Huh. But I am," she says, shifting her purse, wishing that Mommy were not here bouncing the mewing baba, a whiny cry that puts out the fire in the B&B, the one 555 is stoking in her imagination. Jeff taps on his keypad, and Shelby is so tired of this tedium. "Huh," he says again. "It's like you don't exist." For the rest of the day, Mommy won't shut up about the mix-up at the pharmacy, and she really will put Shelby in an early grave. And what about the baba? It can't be good for him, being exposed to Mommy's paranoia. Don't open that email. Don't do that DNA testing in the mail. Don't eat fake sugar. Day in, day out. "I don't like this," Mommy says, blowing a kiss to the baba in the rearview mirror. "You can't trust those big chain stores. They take all our information and sell it. It's true. I saw it on 60 Minutes. For all you know, your identity has been stolen. Every year, more and more women disappear into thin air. Poof. A lot of the time, it starts like this. They wipe them out. You need to be on top of things. You need to be a mother and stop obsessing over, these magazines don't even pay you, Shelby. When's the last time we went to the bank to deposit a check? Mommy, please, I'm driving, and I get paid by direct deposit." Mommy huffs. "You give them your bank account number? Oh, Shelby, that's not right. And didn't you hear the man in there? He said you weren't even in the system. These things don't just happen. It was an IT error. That's it. Please calm down." She makes a kissy face at Henry and imagines 555 smiling, impressed. What a good mommy. "Hi, Baba." "But you heard him, Shelby. He said you were erased. Someone stole it. I know it. I read about this. And look at you, not even worried." The Baba chews on his fingers, and Shelby pictures him in therapy years from now, after some girl dumps him because of his issues with women. The therapist thinks she's so smart as she explains that his problems date back to his childhood, raised by two women squabbling at all hours. His future is ruined already because this is the key time in a child's life. And Shelby snaps. "It's not like that, Mommy. For the last time, it was just a computer error, nothing more, a glitch." Mommy grips her purse like Shelby's driving is that scary. "Well, I don't like it," she says. You need to call before some criminal empties your bank account. I'm telling you, more and more women. Just gone. Poof. And it always starts with something like this. Always. And then the women disappear too, just like their phone numbers. Shelby will drive this car into a real pole if Mommy won't shut up. And Shelby is driving too fast, and the Baba is in the back, wiggling in his car seat, soaking up the tension. She brakes, and he cries, and she pulls into the parking lot of a convenience store. Relief. Mommy gets out of the car to check on the Baba, and she sneers at the convenience store because Mommy doesn't believe in convenience stores. She lectures Shelby about what Shelby already knows, that she has never put one foot inside a convenience store because they're the downfall of civilization. Lazy, spoiled brats willing to overpay for things like bread and deodorant. Good mothers are organized. They don't need convenience. Shelby smiles. Do you want a Coke? Mommy's favorite thing in the world is Coca-Cola. And she turns her head so she doesn't have to look Shelby in the eye. Fine, she says, but only if they're on sale. Shelby slams the car door. In the convenience store, she perks up. She imagines that she is with 555. They're on vacation, on their way to go apple picking, and they've made a pit stop, and they're in love, and everything is funny, worth noticing.
She takes her phone out in the Coke aisle, and she reaches out to him. Frisky, are you for real? Yes, Shelby. Say the word, and tomorrow I'll pick you up, and we'll go somewhere. Such fun to be such a secret person, agreeing to flee with a strange man. She doesn't even know what he looks like. She picks up 2 Cokes, wildly, exorbitantly overpriced, and she puts her Cokes on the counter at the register and scans back through their texts. Who is he? Where is he? Could she do it? Sneak out of the house with a mysterious stranger? Shelby is a good woman. She lets her mother live with her, and everyone knows that mother and daughter can't cohabitate like this without driving each other nuts. And it's not like she would sleep with 555. They would only go apple picking and maybe share one illicit kiss. The man at the register slams a pen on the counter. Y'all done with your text, ma'am? What a jerk. And Mommy is going to whine when Shelby gets back to the car. What took you so long? Shelby signs away $7 for 2 Cokes, and she is the jerk. Texting at the checkout counter is a faux pas, and she apologizes meekly, and she walks to the car, and Mommy growls, "What took you so long?" Rajid is using the neti pot again and raving about it. Never felt better, never breathed easier. Mommy is still harping on Shelby to call the pharmacy. Shelby keeps thinking of that cold-hearted Jeff. It's like you don't exist. She lies to Rajid about progress on her modern love essay that doesn't exist, and she picks up the Baba. Mommy and Rajid look at her like she's lighting a crack pipe. Mommy points at the clock. You're feeding him now? Rajid rinses the neti pot as if it isn't permanently contaminated. Isn't it a little late, Baba? Mommy scowls at Rajid. Rajid, hun, you're dripping. Rajid turns off the water, and Shelby pats her really baby, the one that was inside her only months ago, on his really back. He's hungry, she says. I can tell. On the way up the stairs, her phone pings, and it's him. Tomorrow? 11? And that's men for you. They know when you're holding the Baba, when you're not thinking about them. She almost drops the Baba. All mothers almost drop their babies, and she sits in her nursing chair and pulls out her breast. The Baba eats. Shelby was right. And Shelby turns on a Hallmark movie, her favorite, the one where Candace goes to Alaska. Mommy knocks on the door as she barges in. Did you call the drugstore yet? Mommy glares at the TV, where Candace is making a snow angel, and this is their basic incompatibility as housemates. Mommy likes to fill her unhappy, paranoid mind with unresolved stories on Dateline. Mommy blocks the TV. You need to call the pharmacy. If your identity was stolen, there's a small window of time for them to catch the thieves. Shelby does not tell Mommy to get out of the way. She will not start a fight. Mommy, she says, I'm telling you, it's fine. You don't know that, Shelby. Women disappear.
You want to avoid all the news, you want to fill your mind with fluff, but it's a bad world out there. You have to get on top of this, and you have to do it now, or they might come for you. A woman in Kansas, she had 2 kids, and one day, poof, gone. They still don't know where she is, but it started like this. She couldn't use her ATM card. Shelby puts the baba in his crib. Doesn't Mommy know that babies need peace? She wants Mommy to follow her cue and gaze at the baba and let a baby do what all babies do, make you feel good about this world. But Mommy is determined to make this an emergency. She is old and Catholic and cheap and paranoid, and she is still sipping her Cokes. She watered it down with tap water, disgusting. And she says she has a bad feeling about the pharmacy. And Shelby tells 555 that 11 tomorrow works for her. Mommy scratches her head. Does Mommy have lice? Did she always scratch her head this much? Who are you texting with? Annette? Mommy frowns. 555 texts, I'll pick you up at 11. Shelby's maternal instinct kicks in. I didn't tell you where I live. 55 is polite. If I'm lucky, you will tomorrow. I took the day off. And there's no pressure, Shelby. This is all up to you. Obviously, she won't go. She's not a cheater. But it's fun to pack a bag in your head. And Mommy is irritated with Shelby's texting, and Shelby is calmer now. The date is set, and she has all the power. She can be the bigger person now, and she hugs Mommy. She apologizes. She promises to call the pharmacy, to learn how to operate the new crock pot, to change. Mommy cups Shelby's cheeks in her hands. I hope so, sweet tea. You know I only want what's best for you. It's been so long since Mommy called Shelby Sweet Tea. That was her nickname when she was a little girl, when it was just the 2 of them, because her father was an investment banker/road warrior, always in a city, always pitching. It was their version of Baba, and Shelby embraces her mother in a way she hasn't in years. She drops her phone on her chair, and she is crying now, about scrumptious, about her career. Mommy is all love. It's okay, sweet tea. This is why Mommy is here. This is why I said yes when Rajid asked me to come. Shelby pulls away. That is news to her. He asked you? Sweet tea, Mommy says. Your dog died. It's not your fault, but a thing like that, it's supposed to change you. You're supposed to worry about those you love. You worry about your work, but the one you need to worry about is Henry. I promise you'll be happier if you let family take over, sweet tea. I promise. She pecks Shelby on the cheek, and Shelby can't look at Mommy. She didn't want it to be true. Just for once, she wanted to be the paranoid one. She can't stand the idea of Rajid calling Mommy behind her back. What else did they say? She breathes. She's no better, conspiring with 555. But now they're even, and even is good. Mommy sighs. Don't worry, sweet tea. I know it takes time to change. Everything is fine. Rajid is fine, Henry is fine, and I'm here. I want to be here. So don't you go fighting with him, you hear? Don't accost him and tell him that you're upset about him calling me. He was only trying to help. Mommy picks up Shelby's phone and stares into Shelby's teary eyes. Call the pharmacy. Call the police, just in case. Shelby is home alone. She didn't give 555 her address, and she woke up feeling like one of those women who likes to go to the spa. This is a fresh start. She's in control of her life. She didn't turn on the TV today, and she started a new essay that feels like a breakthrough, a breakaway. She's writing about the incident at the pharmacy, about clinging to her neti pot. She thought it would be difficult to write around 555. She could never, would never tell anyone about those texts, but it was easy to leave him out of it, as if the texts were only a booster shot. Tonight, when Rajid gets home, she'll come clean about her writer's block, and she's not nervous about it. She's excited to be alone with her husband, to be honest with him the way they were in college when they were new to each other. She steps into the front yard, and the development's not so bad. She can see for miles. She likes that every house has a paved driveway and a brick mailbox. She opens her mailbox, and there's a Land's End catalog. She likes that catalog, and she inserts her hand. Maybe she can also write about catalogs. And that's when the needle hits her neck. The bag goes over her head. She can't separate these things. They happen too fast, all at once. And then she doesn't exist. She wakes up on a sofa in an office. Could be a therapist's office, a lawyer's office. She is groggy, and where is she? There are no windows in this office. The furniture is plush, not cheap. She remembers the Land's End catalog, and the title sends a chill through her body. There is a door, but it's locked, and there are clipboards, posters, and all of them say the same thing: property of Winter's Bottom. Her wrist aches, like she was chipped. She shudders, still in her clothes. A knock on the door. A woman enters, old like Mommy.
A gun on her hip. So out of place, that firearm. She locks the door behind her, and Shelby realizes that Mommy wasn't paranoid. Mommy was right. More women are disappearing all the time. The woman extends a hand. "I'm Alice," she says, "and congratulations. You're our first resident from Virginia." Shelby is dizzy. Strange to be congratulated. The Pavlovian ego boost is in direct contrast to her shock. Where is she? Who took her? Resident of what? What is this? Where am I? "Don't worry," Alice says. "You're in Winter's Bottom. We're a small mountain community, and you're going to love it here." She brightens again. "And like I said, you're our first Virginian. That's a coup. I know you have questions, but you are safe. This is a pilot program, Shelby, and because you're the first Virginian, you'll find that people address you as Virginia. Makes it easier to get to know people." There is more to Shelby than Virginia, and she's not even from Virginia. And why is Alice looking at a medical chart on her tablet? Shelby's wrist stings a little, and she was chipped. She really was. Alice smiles. "I take it you don't like nicknames." Alice offers water. She offers coffee. She says it's good water, from our mountain springs. Shelby's eyes are going to pop out of her head. "I want to go home, now." "I won't insult you," Alice says. "I won't tell you to trust me. I know you're an intelligent woman, but I promise you'll feel better when you understand." Alice pulls up a video on her tablet. She presses play. "You'll like this," she says. "It's like one of your Hallmark movies." Alice shouldn't know anything about Shelby. Alice, who has no last name. Alice, who is armed. The movie plays. Winter's Bottom is a federal community for women in need of soul repair, and those words don't belong together. A soul is not federal. The camera pans around the township of tree-lined streets with tiny shops and curly, woodsy roads with cottages. It is all so Hallmark, and Shelby can relax. This is a prank. Maybe it really is the city witches, some sort of second-generation escape room. It's nice to think of them going to so much trouble to get to her. They do know about Shelby and her Hallmark movies, and by the end of the day, she'll be at home writing about this. But then she looks at the screen, at the women wearing aprons. The women on the screen are all friendly, if slightly cultish. They aren't actors. You can see it in their eyes as they all say the same thing. "Welcome to Winter's Bottom. We can't wait to meet you." This isn't a prank, and this isn't an escape room, and Shelby pulls her hair. And Alice pauses the movie. How can I help? Shelby is a reasonable woman, a journalist. "I want a lawyer," she says, "now." Alice scowls in a way that makes sense of the gun on her hip. Shelby knows this feeling. A woman who is your friend looking down on you as she sits across from you. It's Mommy telling Shelby to learn to cook. It's Annette on Shelby's last day at City Woman. "Did you want to say goodbye to anyone else?" "Oh, Shelby," Alice simpers, "you know this is the right place for you. Women like you are dangerous. Look what happened to Scrumptious. Your mother had to move in with you because you weren't even able to care for your own child on your own. I want a lawyer." "No, Shelby, don't be defensive.
We know you mean well. You don't want to hurt the people you love, and don't you see? Now you can't hurt them. You can't betray them. I didn't betray anyone. Alice smiles. Would Rajid agree if he looked in your phone? So it was a hoax, and Shelby is a sucker, and they know everything. Women disappear all the time. Alice tells Shelby that it's not over for her, that Wintersbottom is a training facility, a place where she can reform, learn to love. But I do love. Do you, Shelby? Alice sets her tablet on the table. There are two women. One is as calm as Candace Cameron Bure, and the other is in ripped jeans, sticking her tongue out at her cell phone, taking a selfie. Look, Alice says, you are a W-2. She says this as if a woman can be a tax form, as if any of this makes sense. We've done our research, Shelby. There are two kinds of women in this country right now. W-1s are women who love. W-2s are women who don't love. You are a W-2, but you can become a W-1. Shelby will burn that iPad, and she blasts Alice about this sexist language. She demands a lawyer. She wants out, and she wants out now. And armed Alice just shakes her head. You don't need a lawyer, Shelby. You need to become a woman on your own before you can be a woman with your family. I am a woman. You're a W-2, and it's nothing to be ashamed about, Shelby. And you're a smart woman. I know I'm right. You saw the video. You're not alone. Many W-2s need help learning to nurture. Shelby grunts. She wants a lawyer. She wasn't serious with 555. It was just innocent, meaningless flirting. A few stupid texts. A natural response to being fired. Stalled in her career. Dismissed. It's like you don't exist. She was played, tricked, betrayed. And the more she fights for her freedom and defends her actions, her inactions, her lies, the more Alice stands her ground. That's why you're here, Shelby. But Shelby will show them. She will get out, get home, get free. Wintersbottom is starting to grow on Shelby. She likes her sessions with Alice. It's almost like therapy, but Alice isn't a therapist. She's blunt, she's direct. She evaluates Shelby 3 times a week, chastising her for not making her bed every day, for letting dirty dishes sit in the sink. Shelby feels like she's back in college, the brief time in your semi-adult life when your education matters, when your job is to learn for the sake of learning. Her goal is to transform into a W-1, a woman who makes a valid contribution to her family, workplace, and/or community. Real life is messy, full of mixed messages, but Alice is clear about how the system works. Shelby knows how she got here. She was flagged when she lost her job. They monitor text messages, and the ladies at City Woman had a lot to say about their coworker Shelby. She was double flagged when Scrumptious died. They saw Shelby's tributes on Facebook, and she was triple flagged when Mommy moved in. They knew because Shelby's mother filed a change of address with the Postal Service. They know everything. They had access to her cable. They knew how many times she watched Christmas Under Wraps, and they knew that she was lying to Rajid about her deadlines and Googling things like, bored by my baby, sociopath? There is no 555. He was just a bot they built to test Shelby, and she failed. But she's focused now. She has a job as a pastry assistant in a bakery, and a bakery is a good place to be when you're trying to forget the people from your past. It's a scientific fact that your brain is better at making memories when you don't take pictures. Your brain holds on harder. It smells good in a bakery. Scents help form new memories, and that's why all W-2s work in flower shops and bakeries. This isn't prison. No one's out to punish you. They're just trying to help you. You need all the help you can get, and ovens are hot. You have to watch out. Be in the moment. There is no Wi-Fi, no internet. If Shelby tries to leave this mountain town, she will die.
It's right there on the signs by the electric fences that surround the perimeter of Wintersbottom. Walking past the red line will lead to your death. Have a great day. No one is sure where they are. Wisconsin? Russia? Some of the women in the bakery speculate based on the weather patterns, the birds. But Michigan bangs her spatula on the counter. Who cares? We're here. The end. Right, Virginia? Alice was right. Shelby does go by Virginia, and Michigan is Shelby's best friend. Michigan had 3 kids back home, and she was a lawyer. Her kids were all struggling in different ways. One was overweight, one was a vandal, one was a bedwetter, and Michigan is glib.
I guess they saw my Google search history, and I'm guessing they saw that I didn't call the therapists I Googled. But gosh, my husband was out of work for 5 years. He could have called. Michigan is still bitter, and Shelby's aware that the friendship is toxic. Sometimes Shelby really does feel like Candace Cameron Bure, having shed her career ambitions and discovered baking. She believes in the program, and she likes her cottage and her job. But when Michigan starts venting, Shelby loses her faith, and soon she's venting, outraged. She misses her husband, her child. Michigan softens, as if this is what she needs, for Shelby to be the one venting. She promises Shelby that it gets easier. You don't forget your husband or your kids, but you do adjust to the distance. And it's good that we can't see pictures, we can't know. I mean, that's part of how we got here, right? Remember those college nights when you could wreck your life and there was no camera to catch you, no internet to judge you? Well, that's not the world now. They saw us, Shelby, and they see us now, so you gotta buck up. Michigan is right. The women have different lives, backgrounds, but most of them are over 40. They were multitaskers, hypocrites, constantly pining away for the good old days before social media, on their social media accounts. Tsk, tsk. They turned down job offers in small towns because they just couldn't give up their urban lifestyles. They broke up with perfectly good men because they didn't need to get married in order to feel complete. They are anti-Hallmark women, whether hampered by student loans or blowing trust fund money on ski trips. W-2s come from all walks of life: lesbian, straight, bisexual, asexual. The common thread is a failure at W-1 behavior. Shelby relates to these women. They forgot to send birthday cards. They applied mascara while they were behind the wheel. They didn't get juiced up about bridal showers, and they didn't know how to bake or knit. While Shelby was a sucker for Hallmark movies, some of these women were more susceptible to Law & Order marathons or Tinder. They're not vicious, they're just prone to solitude, a little cold. The married ones were cheating or thinking about cheating, and the single ones were posting articles from The Cut featuring quotes from Oprah and Jennifer Aniston about their decision to not have kids. Alice blows a whistle. "Ladies," she says, "let's focus on the cookie order." Alice is Shelby's keeper, and Shelby is an overachiever by nature. It feels good to purse her lips and focus on the task at hand, the enormous metal bowl of cookie dough. She gets her clean hands dirty and digs in, scooping the dough, shaping each lump into a ball, and setting each ball on the tray. Shelby isn't here to make friends. She hasn't told any of the women about her Hallmark theory that the women in those movies were dough, but she enjoys the narrative clarity. Now she is the baker, the rolling pin, and the dough isn't symbolic. It's just dough. Alice measures Shelby's cookies one by one. "Good," she says. "They're correctly spaced and the size is consistent. Thank you." Shelby isn't brainwashed, and in some ways her life isn't different. At home, she was trapped in her office, and now she is trapped in the bakery in the bottom. But there is no more lying. She doesn't have a cell phone. She doesn't have internet. She doesn't know what's going on with Rajat and Henry and Mommy, but she isn't worried. They did well without her, and Alice is right. Shelby was subconsciously preparing for this moment, avoiding responsibility in her own home with her own family. Alice smiles at Shelby, and it always feels good to please a teacher, an authority figure. "Well," Alice says, "you've earned a reward, Shelby.
Why not get out there and enjoy the weather before it turns on us? Shelby thanks Alice, and she zips up her coat and hides her smile from the other women. It's late November, and leaves are falling on the sidewalks of the bottom. Shelby won't be spending Christmas with her family, but Christmas is a thing you can feel. There are W2s stringing white lights through the trees, replacing Thanksgiving-themed cornucopias with inflatable Santas, reindeer. Shelby takes the long way home. She loves the quaint side streets, the safety. There are no men in the bottom, and in this way, it isn't like living in a Hallmark movie. Shelby doesn't know if she'll ever see Rajat again. They do say you can phase up, become a W1 and return to society, but will she? It's strange. She feels just as married now as she did at home, and even if 555 did come around the corner and smile at her with brand new veneers, she wouldn't be interested. Not anymore. She wouldn't do that to Rajat. They are watching, and it feels good to know that they're watching, even if it shouldn't. Alice is right. Days like this, crisp and orange, they won't last forever. So Shelby takes a path to an apple orchard. She doesn't even really like apples. She's never been apple picking. She's sensitive, her nose is running, and she remembers a weekend in college when Rajat surprised her by booking a trip to some farm town in the Berkshires. "But what would we do?" she said. "I don't know," he said. "Farm things, go for walks, pick apples." She laughed in his face. God, she loved him back then. "Rajat," she said, "we don't need to do stuff, and we don't even like apples. I thought you'd want to go away. I thought girls liked. Are you mad?" "No," she said. She knew him so well. She knew where to put her hands, how to love him. "Honey, I'm not that girl who needs a boyfriend to be whisking her away to the country, you know?" And he did know. He kissed her. "And this is why I love you, Raja. We're the same that way, you know? You don't know how to change a tire, and I don't know how to bake a pie. Let's just be us, you know?" He did know. They were equals, and they spent that weekend in bed ordering takeout and half-watching movies, connecting intimately. They didn't know anything. They didn't know that they wouldn't have the Baba for so many years, that by the time they did have the Baba, they'd both have become so good at being selfish that the Baba would be beautiful and perfect, yes, but also like a smoke alarm chirping somewhere in the house. She hesitates by the fence that surrounds the orchard. She doesn't need to get any closer. Apple picking is for couples, for families, and those movies really did brainwash her, didn't they? She never wanted to go apple picking. Maybe if Rajat were here, but he isn't. On the way home, she is sneezing. She's coming down with a cold, and she doesn't have tissues. A W1 would have tissues. Mommy always did. She walks into her cottage, and it's a pigsty. She should clean if she ever wants to phase up, but she's sick, she's tired. She'll fail inspection tomorrow. She fails a lot, especially when she doesn't know she's being tested, like earlier this week when she visited a neighbor who just had a baby. Shelby didn't get excited when she held the little girl. She was too jealous. And they know she was jealous because they monitor your heart rate. They have to. It's for the sake of the country. She hears a noise at the door. It's her report card. Self-care, F. Home care, D. Work performance, A. Who is she kidding? She's the same old Shelby, and they're kinda like Rajat. They know what's wrong with her. She's proficient in the bakery. She always did love to work, but she's not baking at home. She has dust mites, and she keeps the windows closed because they pump the air out there with pumpkin spice. She loathes that smell. Alice warned her to come around, to retrain her body. She remembers something she read in a meme about how all flowers lean toward the sun except for the ones that don't need the sun, and she collapses onto her mangy sofa and turns on a Hallmark movie. There's Candace, shiny and pure as ever, frustrated that she has to move to some podunk town in Alaska and wearing the wrong shoes, the thin sweater.
Adjust the current voice to replicate the professional narrative style for the dark/contemporary romance genre. Important: ignore all technical headers, chapter numbers, and structural markers that appear at the beginning of the text. Shelby has the movie memorized, and her sinuses are closing up, so she goes to the kitchen and finds her neti pot. She was so surprised when Alice gave it to her. How did you know about me and this neti pot? Did you bug my house? Well, no, Virginia, you did. You had the hive. Right, Shelby said, remembering that day in Best Buy, the day they bought the hive. I was pretty far along, 8 months, I think. Rajid wanted a hive, but I was paranoid about the technology, the idea of outsiders eavesdropping, having access to everything we said, everything we watched. He said I sounded like my mother, which, of course, made me pick up the box and put it in the cart. See, Virginia, you do have W1 tendencies. This is good news. It is. Shelby wasn't in a place to feel good, so she stayed in the memory. We got in line, and I told Rajid that it felt sexist that Amazon called it Alexa. You know, same way Apple has Siri. Why not Alex or Tom or Silas? So Rajid said they probably chose Alexa because women are notoriously nosy, and I said that makes no sense if you think about Big Brother. And he bent over, you know, like he was talking to the baby inside of me. And he said, I want to warn you, Baba, Mommy is a little crazy sometimes. Alice just sighed. Virginia, she said, wash that neti pot out before you use it. Shelby mutes Christmas Under Wraps. These movies don't do it for her anymore, and it's cruel of them to give her a TV with nothing but Hallmark. She understands the logic. She spent her time at home escaping from her family, hiding in those cutesy movies instead of confronting Rajid about her frustrations, discussing the crock pot with Mommy. Now there is no one to hide from, and the Hallmark movies have lost their allure, their purpose. It's a smart move on their part. Tell someone they can eat Twinkies every day, all day, and within a few days they don't like Twinkies anymore. Shelby is restless tonight, sick but not tired. She carries the neti pot to her crafting table and picks up a hammer. It's magic. It's horror. One smash and the neti pot she held onto for 20 years isn't a neti pot anymore. It's pieces of porcelain. She glances at the TV where Candace marvels at the snow. And she is better than Candace. She is growing alone. She doesn't need to be egged on by some cardboard man. She plugs in a glue gun. She chops away at the porcelain chunks, and she separates the pink bits from the white bits, and the work is calming, like baking cookies. She glues the bits onto a piece of driftwood, and she has no plan. She's not a crafter by nature, but now she sees that she did have a plan. She's making a heart, racing against the movie, against Candace. Her fingers are sticky, and the heart is messy. A 4th-grade boy could probably do better. But she finishes before the movie is over, and she loves her stupid little heart, and she wants to make more hearts. She washes her hands, and her imagination runs into Hallmark land. The movie is about her, sweet Virginia, the heartist. She sets her heart on the mantel, and there she is in the mirror, smiling with shiny hair and rosy cheeks. There's no denying it. Winter's Bottom agrees with her. She flops onto the couch and turns off the TV and gazes at her heart. Soon she's sleepy, a little high on the glue. She feels someone in the cottage with her. It's Rajid. He puts his hands on her shoulders and he whistles at her stupid little heart. Not bad, Baba. His hands feel so good. They ground her. In the morning, Alice is waiting for her outside the bakery. Congratulations, Virginia, she says. You aced self-care last night. Shelby reads the report. The neti pot wasn't a gift. It was a test. They wanted Shelby to realize that she was difficult to live with, possessive, excluding her husband from so many parts of her life, even things as meaningless as a neti pot. She doesn't want them to be right, but they're convincing. She reads the report, and she can't deny it anymore. She didn't know how to love him, how to love anyone. She didn't ask him to go to couples therapy, and she didn't reciprocate with Baba enough. She played the part of a possessive control freak, but she wasn't a good caregiver. Caring isn't controlling. She never disinfected the neti pot, and her love was shallow, inadequate. Shelby's cheeks are hot. Alice reaches for the report card. You have to focus on the future. You did it. You broke the neti pot. You created something new, a symbol of love.
You keep this up and you will phase up, Shelby. And you do have to phase up because that's the only way you get out to see your son. Do you understand, Shelby? Alice is standing now, looking down on Shelby, hopeful. Well, Virginia, are you ready to go to work? She needed to hear her name, and she flashes a Candace Cameron Bure smile. Shelby will become Sweet Virginia so that she can go home to Virginia and go back to being Shelby, as if being Shelby isn't what led to her being here in the first place. Halfway through her shift, she thinks about Rajid and the Baba, and she loses control of her hands. A lump of cookie dough falls on the floor. Mommy would call it poison. Raw eggs can give you salmonella. Mommy never let her lick the spoon or the bowl when Shelby was little, even though everyone knows that raw cookie dough is delicious. Shelby picks up the ball of dough and pops it in her mouth. She is slovenly. Still, did they see? Do they know? Blood rushes to her cheeks, and then it stops. They don't matter in the end. No matter what they call her, she is the woman who never did crack modern love, the woman who killed her dog. She can prep 100,000 cookies in this kitchen, but she'll always feel most connected to herself like this, hunkered down and hiding, picking the raw cookie dough out of her teeth. She's no different than she was at home, waiting for the big idea to strike, waiting for Santa Claus to intervene and send her somewhere special, somewhere like this.